Jason.
Danny.
How we doing, mate?
Prepared for moving house this week.
I kind of feel like we already moved house. I mean, side note, but I kind of feel like we already moved house this morning.
This morning, man.
Because we had a corporate client in recording a podcast, and this whole room was different. So if this looks a bit weird on like YouTube, and you're like, something has changed, something has changed, the whole room changed.
Everything's changed. Your seat feels different.
It feels really, I don't know what's happened to it. It's like leaning into one side. I need to sort that.
We've got a couch standing on its side right over here because I was like, yeah, you know what? The setup looks nice. Let's just use that. And you're like...
You were not happy with me this morning.
Well, you didn't even say why. We couldn't just do this. You were just like... You just gave me the look of disappointment. The look only a parent could give their child.
I feel like I might have just said no as well.
No, I didn't hear no.
Okay.
You just walked into the room and started changing everything. I was like, fine.
I guess we'll
do it your way, Danny.
But are you not glad?
No, because I've got to set it up again next week. we had to do one. We were recording one podcast in between all these shoots. Yeah. They've just had it one time.
No.
Okay, cool.
No.
Well, have fun setting up yourself next time.
Somebody is extra salty today. Is it because of the stress and the house move? Is that what it is? You're just getting extra stressed?
Yes. That's it. Yeah. It's totally that. It's definitely the bacon roll, the extra salty bacon roll I had this morning. I'm good. I'm happy.
Yeah.
Moving house is a happy time.
I don't know if it's happy.
No, I mean like this is.
I mean,
the
it'll
last
be good
time
once
ever.
you're in, but
yeah.
I mean, it won't be, but yeah.
Yeah, I'm aiming for that.
It won't be.
It might not be.
It won't.
I'm a bit impulsive for that.
It won't be. I can tell you right now, it's definitely not. It's definitely not going to be.
We'll see.
Yeah.
It'll last for a while anyway.
Yeah. Well, I'll be moving soon as well. I don't know when though. I think I'll be in June sometime.
Surely you bought the house a day after me.
Yep.
So surely, maybe you'll be in June. I think there's been no talk of entry date yet.
Mm-mm.
Damn.
At this point, no.
Okay.
We've said when we want to be in, and it's like middle of June, but that's about it.
Okay, fair enough. I'm probably busy that day anyway.
Probably. That's fine. Don't worry. It's all good. But today we have a cool podcast lined up. We have a special guest coming on the pod with us today, who films I've kind of been watching on Instagram and all these kind of like cool little reels that he posts on Insta. They're super, super like eye-catching. I love them. But John Taylor, how are we doing today, John?
I am great. Thank you very much. Yeah, really, really good. Excited to do this. I've never done a podcast before, so I'm not sure if I'm going to immediately cancel myself or if this is going to be something I enjoy. So we'll find out.
It's quite weird. Like we do a bunch of podcasts every single week, but being on the other side of it, maybe like 3 times now, I think. And I remember the first time that I was on a podcast being asked the questions that I wasn't going to edit and just freaking out going, oh God, like, because I control everything that comes out of here. So if I want to be as unfiltered as possible, but yeah, no, honestly, it's so fun. It's just natural. And we're just going to get to know you and your films. And, as Danny said, he's had a lot of fun watching your clips online. Same as me. The word that comes to mind is remix. You're like a remix artist. You just love combining the elements of the day into a way that actually, works so well together. I can only imagine like how long that actually takes, because having attempted remixing, songs or audio from the day into like, music that you find online, or it's a task and a half, but you do it really well.
Thank you. Yeah, I think I love it. The music side of it, I think is just so important, and I think it just really carries the film. And I have this kind of ethos that rather than making the film fit the music, I want to make the music fit the film. So where I want there to be a drop or for something epic to happen or a moment, I'll create the space and I'll manipulate the song to be able to do what I want to do with the film, rather than being forced to time it to the music, if that makes sense. I try to think of it like how it's going to sound wanky because it's not really what I do, but like, how they make like a full feature film, they make the film and then they put the composer, whatever, puts the music over the top to fit with what they're seeing, rather than being kind of pigeonholed into having to time it to to the music. So, but yeah, music's something that I've always loved. I'm kind of a bit of a failed musician. I like jack of trying every single instrument, being useless at all of them. I used to DJ a lot when I was a kid, like in my garage, just for hours and hours on end, remixing songs and stuff. So it's kind of something that I've always loved doing. And yeah, it's probably the side of the videos I actually love the most, to be honest. And when something just works, I'm just like, yes, and like have my headphones on in my own little world. And yeah, I love that.
Oh man, that feeling when the music just connects properly. I remember sitting at my desk and you're waiting for it and it hits and you're like, yes, 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 and then no one notices it. And you're like, what?
Nobody
like,
mentions
I'll
it.
send my wife through and like, listen to this, and she's like, oh, that's great. I'm like, no. Did you hear that bass drop? Did you hear that? What did that make you feel? Did you like just
nothing?
Absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Fuck all.
You did mention something there, but I think, which I'm going to touch on later, but I think it's important that we let everyone get to know
Yes.
you. So, Danny, take us away with some structure.
So yeah, a little. Well, as Jay said, it'd be great to hear a little bit about you, your business, how long you've been doing it, and a little bit of your background apart from your failed musician and DJing background.
Okay, so yeah, I've always loved cameras. Like, I think I got my first camera when I was about 9 years old, little film camera actually, and then I remember getting a little Fuji digital camera like shortly after that. I think it was 1.2 megapixels. So yeah, I just loved taking pictures and photos of like pets, animals and stuff back in the day. I remember, do you ever remember the social media platform? It was called Bebo. I don't know if like you're in that generation
love,
to have that. But So yeah, I used to make little videos actually when I was a kid, and I'd post them on that. So it'd be just like silly things with my friends. I remember once like the field opposite my house flooded, and so we were all doing like Klingsmans through the field, and I filmed it and uploaded it on there. And like you couldn't really go viral then, but like it sort of had like lots of traction and views and stuff. And I was like, this is quite cool. And yeah, it's always been something I've just sort of done on the side really. I made travel films, like, again, not good. They're more kind of like what my Instagram trailers really. They were just like 60-second snippets of where I would go on a holiday and stuff. And again, I'd try and edit them cool and with the music, but it's all just done on my phone. And then it was about, I think it was 2018, one of my friends was just like, mate, do you want to have a crack at doing a wedding? It was for his brother, and I was like, yeah, I'll why not? I'll give it a go. What's the worst that could happen? And it was actually doing photo and video for my very first wedding on my own. Talk with one camera.
Deep end.
Yeah.
That's wild.
But it was super chilled, and it was really nice, and yeah, I loved it. It was really good. And then off the back of that, I had a couple of other friends, sort of say, do I want to do it? But then obviously everything that happened with the pandemic, everything just sort of shut down. At the time, I was a physiotherapist, so I went to uni, had a completely different career in healthcare. And then with the whole shutdown, I was working with a group of consultants in London at the time, and I started pushing out content with them. So we were doing Zoom type live discussions. So I was bringing cameras and setting it up, chairing it, doing all the mics and that kind of thing, which actually through that time I was able to invest in better camera equipment and better gear to be able to do that. So, and then I had kind of the time to play around with it a bit more, but there were obviously no weddings happening and nothing kind of happening at that time. So on the other side of that, I messaged a photographer who I know well, who actually shot my wedding, a guy called James Fear, who I love. He's hilarious. And was just like, mate, if you have any of these little lockdown weddings coming up and they've got space, I think, I want to give this another kind of shot and see how it goes. And so yeah, I was able to then build up really organically from the deep end of before to these little 30-person weddings, and then just kind of, you know, just step it up as everything kind of unlocked, which was a really nice, gradual, kind of chilled way to do it, to be honest. One of the few benefits of the pandemic there, to actually be able to do that. And yeah, I loved it. And I set a target of booking 5 weddings. I can't remember what year that was then, where we like 2021. I was like, I want to book 5 weddings, and I booked 50 that year, quit my job and just went for it. So it was insane. Yeah. Wow. It was just an absolute just takeoff. At the same time, I was doing still some silly reels. So like I was bored in lockdown, so I was still filming some stuff. So I made one film to the Gladiator soundtrack with my lawnmower, like mowing my lawn, and just like a stupid, ridiculous film. But I actually booked some weddings off the back of that film, which is just crazy. I was literally hilarious. Brushing my hands slowly through the grass. It was just taking the piss, to be honest. But yeah, it was quite funny. So but I'm really grateful for everyone who kind of helped me in that early stage. Everyone who gave me a shot. Everyone who's just like, yeah, come along. I feel like, as videographers, we have a bit of a unique opportunity, or at least we did then, when maybe people were sort of a bit unsure, do they want videography, don't they? And so it's quite an easy in just to kind of be like, yeah, I'll do it for you. And then, you know, for them, they've already got their photographer or whatever sorted, and they're just like, yeah, let's go for it. So it was quite a nice way in. I think now maybe it's a bit more difficult, where a lot of people almost prioritize videography, and I find, you know, maybe I'm booked a lot more, or I'm booked for the photo video option a lot more even before they book the photographer, which I think is, you know, social media and trends and all that stuff changing. But that's sort of, yeah, how I kind of got into it and built up through it. I said I was a failed DJ. I was also a failed model, doing things on sets and shoots, and yeah, I got to
John knows your line. John knows your line.
I got to just drop my failed modeling career in that. I got to basically get loads of experience on sets. So I worked on some massive like £1 million advert projects and stuff, and I got to see that side, and I was kind of like, it was so repetitive and so dull and so boring actually, that I was like, this isn't for me. And then just the buzz of weddings, the fact everything's one take, nothing's repeated, you just move on to the next thing. I just loved it. So yeah, it's been great.
Fast pace of it.
Loving it.
Yeah. See, when you booked 50 in that first year, did you obviously your prices were maybe kind of at introductory level at the beginning potentially. Were you raising your prices during that time, or did you just go, I love the booking?
Yeah, kind of. So I gradually sort of raised them up through that time, but I started doing stuff for free. And I always say to people as well, like, don't be afraid to do stuff for free. And I've tried to give people opportunities that I think are amazing, and I've said it's for free, and they're like, oh no. And I'm just like, for me then, that's not really the right attitude. I think you have to pick the right thing. I've certainly done the wrong things for free that I think are going to change my life, and then I'm like, oh, that did absolutely nothing. Why did I bother? But yeah, I think I did, you know, quite a few bits for free. I was probably charging like 500 quid, something like that, for those first sort of weddings I did, or just getting my expenses covered. When I started off, I didn't even have a computer to edit on. I edited my first couple of weddings. I mean, I've still got the film of one of the first like main big weddings I did. The couple, you know, absolutely loved it. I edited it all on my phone.
Wow.
Yeah. So wow. Yeah, I literally was just kind of building up, upgrading stuff, changing out all of my kit kind of as I went. It was really kind of, yeah, it was a bit of a shock, but it was kind of like a nice shock. It was like, right, I'm doing this. Let's kind of go. So yeah, it was good fun.
How is it editing on your phone? Like, do you think, is this a sustainable option for people? Like, could you think, you know what, I could do that again?
Well, I guess it's got better now. I used a software called Power Director on an Android phone. It's like just a little app that, yeah, and it was basically just cutting everything together. I mean, it would have taken me forever, but it was funny. So when I made my little travel films, I did those on my phone, and I did a tutorial on how to do some of the little transitions and effects that I did on it, and I think it got about 100,000 views on YouTube, which I was like, oh, but like I used to use it all the time. So like what you could do with that little app, I'd pretty much exhausted everything out of it. But yeah, it meant like I wasn't really grading it. I wasn't really doing anything. I mean, those weddings, I was shooting them on a £300 camera. It was an old Panasonic camera. I think it was called a GX9. It wasn't even like a GH5 or anything like that. I used to hire a lens sometimes, which was a really expensive lens. I think the lens was like £1,700 to buy, which back then, you know, might as well have been like £1 million. So I was like, I'm going to use this. I think it gave the focal equivalent of an 85. So I shot on an 85 I don't even know how I did it now, 85 on a camera with like, no autofocus or anything like that. But yeah, it worked. So, but you know, people always say like the equipment doesn't matter. Like now I'm a bit of a diva because I've got all my nice cameras and all my nice stuff. I probably couldn't go back to that. But I think starting out, like it just shows like if you've got your phone, if you've got a cheap camera, you can absolutely just go out and do it.
Yeah, you can make it happen.
Yeah, I was actually shooting with Danny the other day at a wedding, and our setups are quite different. Whereas he has a load of equipment, brings a load of stuff, justifiably so, because it means it gives you way more options. Whereas I was sort of envious of how much stuff he brings, because I'm like, oh, that would be good. But at the same point, choice would probably limit me. I think I would overthink the options. Whereas I know what I've got. I've got one camera, one lens, and that's what I work with on the day. And I know my limitations there, and that means I can make decisions quicker about what it is I want to capture, because I know what I can't capture, if that makes sense. But you know, people starting out thinking that they need all of this equipment.
Yeah, absolutely.
You really don't. You know, John here has edited a film on a phone, captured it with one camera, one lens. I was hiding lenses. I mean, it just shows you like how you can start.
I'm still taking my gear on me. Not changing.
Oh no, for sure. I mean, that's it. I mean, you can be divas all you want now. Like, you've made it. Like, like you two just diva on down. I'll just stick with my one camera, one lens. Thank you very much.
Lumix have just announced their brand new S1R2 hybrid camera. And wouldn't it be great to try before you buy?
Well, why not take advantage of the Lumix Loan Scheme, where you'll get the opportunity to hire a camera for up to 48 hours.
Imagine that. 48 hours, try before you buy, you get to test the camera out and make sure it's the right one for you.
And when it comes to buying that camera, you can use the code TWVP at the Lumix store to get 10% off your purchase.
So to take advantage of the Lumix Loan Scheme, head on over to the Lumix store now. You obviously mentioned that, you know, you started off with from humble beginnings, you know, maybe shooting on an older camera, manual focus, and obviously now you've got the new fancy toys. But what is your what's your approach to a wedding day when it comes to the gear you use and just the general kind of like style of filmmaking that you do?
Yeah, so I use Sony cameras now. So that kind of evolution from that really cheap Panasonic, I then went down the Panasonic route for a little bit, and then I decided to switch. And like manual focus was fine, but what I found is I was very static because I'm constantly, you know, on the focus wheel, and I couldn't really use it with a gimbal. And I love the creativity and the movement that I got from gimbal shots. So for me, having reliable autofocus on a gimbal was just a game changer. It meant that instead of just trying to get everything in focus, I could actually play around with the composition and, you know, exactly what I wanted to kind of create. So I moved over to Sony. So I shoot now on Sony A7S IIIs. So I've got a couple of those. And then for the still side, I've got A7 IV and A9 III. The new one, which is an absolute beast, which is fun to use. But yeah, they're really great. I love them. My approach on the day, so with everything I do, I try and obviously let moments unfold. For me, if like a moment gets interrupted, then I'm really like I find that really sad. So like, for example, something like Dad coming into the room and he's having a moment and the photographer jumps in straight away and is like, right, can we get you side by side for a quick photo or something? Whereas like, yeah, I love just letting those authentic moments, natural moments happen. it means they last for longer, and I can get more kind of alternative angles and reactions and shots to kind of build that story. So yeah, I just love capturing moments, but I always say to people, I'm not a fly on the wall. And I know that some people are really like in the background with their filming and stuff, but for me, I think if you're in a room and you're filming, people know you're there. You know, there's not always a lot of people in the room. You've got a big camera, so like you can't really hide. So I'm very chatty. I'll say hello. I'll try and learn everyone's names. I'll have a bit of banter with them. And I personally just find that makes people relax, and it becomes a bit more like, oh, it's John with the camera, rather than like, oh, I'm on camera, what do I do? Yeah. You know, how I feel right now being on camera, I try and make people not feel like that, basically, and just kind of make it more chilled and get them to relax. On the day itself, pretty much every moment I want it to be real. So I'll say, you know, to people always that I'll only ask you to do something if it's awkward. Like if the moment's awkward and I feel like they want me to tell them, you know, something to do, or if it just looks bad, or if there's something incredible that we can do. And you know, some people are obviously more up for it than others, and you just kind of learn as you go, you know, where people are at. Some people, I feel like they just need an excuse to let loose. Like they just need to, you know, that little, like, it's like a key that you can just kind of unlock and just let them know that they can do whatever they like, you know. And I find that some people sometimes are so fun, and they book maybe like a really editorial voguey photographer that's telling them to be super serious and look miserable all day. But actually, you know, what they want to do is smile and have fun and laugh. And yes, they want those cool pictures, but it's letting them know that, you know, from the video side of it, you don't have to look miserable and pout all day. Like you can just chill. But yeah, a bit of subtle direction here and there. And yeah, I find that kind of works really well and relaxes people. My other thing is being quick. Like I will, there's a funny like meme type video. I don't know if you've seen it. And like a plane's flying over with a couple, and the guy's like getting the shot, and then he's like realizes his battery's not in or something, and then so he quickly puts the battery in, and he does it again, and then he realizes like his SD card's not in, and then something else happens and his lens cap's on at the end, and then they're like, do you get the shot? And he's just like, yeah. But like obviously hasn't. And like I feel like that's kind of me. Like I'll try something, and if it doesn't work, I'm not going to be like, guys, can we just go back and like, it's their wedding day, it's not a film shoot. Like if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. Like I'm like, yeah, that was great, and then we move on.
Hopefully they
because
don't go, oh,
yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly.
That shot of us at the top of the stairs. Oh, sorry. Deleted it.
Yeah.
It was shit.
Didn't work. Yeah. I mean, I'd probably say it on the day. I'd probably just laugh and be like, well, that was shit. Sorry, let's go do something else. But yeah, I think, that's kind of my whole ethos. It's got to be fun. Like, it can't be awkward. It's got to be fun. It's their wedding day, right? And it's got to be short. It's got to be sharp. They never repeat anything. And they spend the least amount of time with me as possible and the most amount of time with their friends and guests and having fun.
Yeah, totally. I mean, that's a great ethos to have, because like I think like I'm similar in that way, in terms of like I'll be chatty and I'll try and be as personal as, you know, as possible, but also at the same time kind of respect the kind of the boundaries when you know you kind of need to sit back, you know, like you said with the certain moments that happen on the day, you kind of know when it's time for you to get involved and when it's time for you to sit back, kind of thing, which they will definitely appreciate, rather than maybe just be completely like fly on the wall and just, because you're right. I mean, I've worked maybe even like with photographers, which is not normally the case, but they're just very much just like right in the back, and it's kind of like, say something, say something, because I'm carrying this conversation.
Sometimes,
creeping in the corner.
Sometimes when it has been a really quiet photographer, it kind of brings me out even more. Like, because I'm I'm quite boisterous with the couple. Usually, if the photographer is really communicative, then that kind of gets me on too. But if they're really quiet, it makes me even louder because I'm like, okay, you have to be the fun representation for the media team. Like, you have to, like, this is a fun environment. You know, we're gonna have a load of fun, and they're gonna get such a kick out of watching what you capture back. It's not a drag asking them to do like something if it feels right to do, you know. So
100%.
yeah, it's got to be fun.
So there you go, folks. Photographers that ever work with Jason, if you want him to not be as boisterous, just shout over him. I think
Genuinely,
that's
yeah.
just shut him up.
Yeah, if you're louder, I don't need, like, it's not a case of having two voices at you. I'm like very conscious of reading the situation. If a photographer is very confident, very strong, and very leading, I don't need two voices at them. I will let them do their thing because, you know, they need those stills and stuff, and I can work with that.
Some photographers though you can work with, and it's just you don't have to give that much input.
Nope.
You know, because you can capture what they're setting up. So you're kind of like, yeah, that was great. That was like me. Like when was it? Yesterday? Day before yesterday?
2 days ago, yeah.
With Leanne, because the photographer that was working just kind of was getting them to do like stuff that I was able to capture great stuff from. So I was kind of like, great, yeah, that looks awesome, guys. Let's just move on to the next part.
And they're probably sitting quietly going, "You gonna say something?"
Yeah, probably. Like, why is that guy not saying it? But so you've obviously done really, really well in this, you know, and what I guess in the grand scheme of things, not a massive amount of time. Obviously, from your you know, based on what we can see, like on your films and your Instagram and stuff like that, you're getting some really, really nice weddings, in some, you know, beautiful locations. And you've also done like a little bit of kind of like celeb work as well. Is that right?
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah, so it'd be great to talk about like how that has evolved over essentially, you know, not a massive amount of time, and how the, you know, I guess everything's kind of like snowballed to get you to that point.
Oh yeah, I think probably a bit of luck in that, as you know, as much as anything in terms of. You know, it's exposure, isn't it? So if the right people, you know, see what you do and like what you do, then you know, you've got a shot of them saying, "Hey, can you come and you know, do this for me?" So yeah, I've been kind of lucky in terms of exposure to some really cool planners, and to again, actually directly kind of within those circles, just through. You know, connections and people that I know, but most of it's come from, you know, what I do in weddings and films and being a bit of a yes man. So there are some things that I've done for free that have led to me doing, you know, 5-figure jobs. So they're directly. So I think that, yeah, there's kind of an element of luck, but also kind of putting yourself out there and giving yourself that opportunity so that you can make luck. But as I sort of said, it's the picking the right thing. So it's kind of, this sounds really bad, but doing things that have value for you rather than, I read something and it's a really selfish comment, but it's something like, you know, don't just do things to help someone else's business, make sure it also helps yours, which I don't totally live by that. But I try and think like that when I'm saying yes or no to a job, basically. Like, is there any value in it right now? Because my time's really precious and I've got little kids and stuff. It's like, is there value in it for me, for my business, and to take me somewhere, you know, in the direction that I sort of want to go?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's absolutely nothing wrong with that statement. If you know, if you're doing something for free, like you said, when we are already all like so busy, especially when you've got like young kids, like your time is 100%, you know, precious. So, you know, if it's, I mean, it's a little bit different than maybe helping out a friend or something like that. But if it's, when it comes to maybe like taking on, you know, like like a wedding or something like that, yeah, it's, I guess it's quite a good way to look at things. Because how old are your kids?
They are 3 and 5.
Okay, yeah. So we've got kids similar age. So I've got Frankie will be 5 in 2 days' time, and my 2-year-old will be 3 next month.
Nice.
And then the baby will be 1 in July. So
3.
Yeah. Stick with 2. Stick with 2. You're on to a winner.
Yeah, I think yeah. Not that I do a lot in that process, but yeah, I think I'm done. I think I'm done on 2.
Yep. Definitely be done. Be free. It's great, but it's mental. See, when you're outnumbered, it's just, Yeah, it's just different gravy. But yeah, like you're especially, young family, you definitely need to that kind of like family time, especially when they're so young, because they are not that young forever, as you already know, with your eldest being 5. Like, they grow up so quickly, and you can miss a lot. So things definitely need to kind of like work for you as well. When it comes I guess let's kind of like chat a little bit about that in terms of, like, for instance, destination work. How does that work, like with your the kids and stuff, and partner, like, or do you take them with you whenever you go on a destination, or how does that work?
Usually, no. I don't. There are some that I'm going to coming up, but yeah, I've got a lot this year. I think I've got 10 or 11 destinations in total this year. So it's a lot, and it's kind of good and bad, because it's that time away. But also, from a kind of price point perspective and a job perspective, and on the edit side, on that back side, then usually, it sort of balances out, if that makes sense, because it's one job versus maybe doing a couple over that same time period. So the back end of it then is shorter, and the price point's kind of similar, because I elevate, in terms of doing those destination ones, because they are a bit of a faff, and getting all your kit over there and all of that good stuff. But yeah, I think, after this year, I think my grid's going to be looking very destination-y. But yeah, there's some that I'm gonna bring them along to. I'm actually a good friend of mine who's a photographer in the wedding industry, Pat Partridge. He's great. I'm shooting his wedding next year. That's actually in Ibiza, so I'm gonna take the family over for that one. So that'll be good fun, but they're not going to be obviously at the wedding. But yeah, they just leave them in the villa and shoot off. But yeah, no, I like, my partner's super supportive and helps me out. So she actually now works full time with me in the business. She doesn't shoot, but she's I've taught her kind of how to edit, and she's really like task focused and really good, whereas I am so bad at like staying on task, doing one thing, and I'll have all these little ideas and things, like like with something with music or something like that, and I'll just be like, and then I'll work a bit on this and a bit on that and a bit on something else, where she's actually so good, and is the reason basically I've been able to do larger volume stuff, because she can just smash stuff out. So she's doing mainly like the ceremony and speech kind of edits, which is actually really cruel to give someone those, I think. But yeah, she's really good at just sitting down and smashing through kind of the multicam edits, and checking it all through in a much more thorough and better way than I would, to be honest. So yeah, that's been a massive help. But yeah, it is. I'm kind of in that cycle at the moment, where I'm sort of like, okay, this is the last year I'm doing it like this, or this is the last year I'm doing it like this. And then there's like an irony to this, but you see, like, you're on Instagram and you see those reels, and it's like, you only have one life. And then, and then you see like the kids growing up or whatever. And the irony is, I'm sat on Instagram looking at it like, instead of actually doing that. And I'm like, oh yeah, that's a good idea. Carry on scrolling. I think, I'm trying to, people have different models and different businesses and how they want to do it. For me, I want to, for many reasons, do less volume, but, it's got to be sustainable financially as a business. So I don't want to earn, less money. So it's trying to balance that and trying to still give value to my clients. But, fundamentally, if I'm doing less, I'm putting more into each film, because I can be more creative, and, sometimes I'm in a situation now where I'm like, I would love to do that, or wouldn't it be cool if I could do this? But then I have to sort of say to myself, I don't have time, like they won't care, like, and try and sort of keep on track. But it does mean that, I'm sort of limited a little bit. It's like funny things like, so for example, on the speeches, I would do, when I was doing less volume, every single speaker, I'd give them like their own personalized intro. So like when they were about to speak, I'd mash up a load of cool shots from them from the day with like a funky tune, and then it would go into their speech, which was like, it doesn't really matter, but it's just like a nice touch. But I don't do that anymore because I don't have time to do it. But actually it was quite a fun thing to do. So I think, from a sort of balance, life, time, everything like that, I want to shoot less. And I want to be able to spend more time with my family, and also do more things creatively with the videos, because that's the bit that I actually love, those little creative tweaks and things, again, that most people probably don't care about, but it adds the enjoyment in it for me in the process.
Yeah, were your numbers sort of, have they kind of always been similar to that kind of first year like mark, or have you managed to like downgrade to like a more reasonable number? Because I understand, like, with your crazy edits, like, I can definitely empathize with spending too much time on little Easter eggs for your couples to find when it doesn't actually matter. It's just, it's a crazy idea that you just want to take over. But so kind of how many weddings are you taking on per year roughly just now?
So this year's about 50. So it's about the same. Last year was more. Quite a bit more. So but I do 26 weeks on the edit. So that's my kind of lifeline is that I say, and the way that I pitch it is that gives me enough time to make sure that I've edited it, to my kind of level and how I want to do it. But also, I say to them, it's your 6-month anniversary, crack open a bottle of wine, sit down. I said, everything with the weddings is over so quickly. I'm not salesy at all, but like, that's kind of my only sales pitchy thing. Some people, that's not for them. They're like, no, I can't wait that long. And that's kind of fine. And they're probably not for me anyway, as bad as that sounds. Because most of my clients, I would say, are super chilled and just put their trust in me and say, you do you, which is kind of the way I love to work. So I think I want to keep dropping it. I think probably my ideal number, I think, in terms of having the quality of life and everything that I want, is probably about 30. I think that still gets me out the house and gives me enough kind of fun stuff to create. I love the buzz of a wedding day. I actually love going out and shooting it. I love sticking on my headphones as well and doing the edit side. So I love what I do. But I suppose, if I'm being perfectly honest, like, the volume last year, it was the first time it felt like a job, rather than because what I essentially did is I took my hobby, my like thing that I loved all my childhood, and I made it into a way to make money, which was insane. And it took off, and it's been amazing, and I'm so grateful for that. But last year was the first year it felt a bit like a job, which is fair enough, because it's hard work and I'm earning money. But I want to kind of get back into it feeling more like the passion project that it started off as.
Yeah, I think I can kind of relate to that a wee bit. When you want every edit that you do to be super creative and think of something different. That's just the way your brain is kind of wired to think, because you want to deliver something different rather than producing the same project over and over again. And then when you start a project, you look at everything you've got, and you're kind of forcing yourself to, like, okay, I need to do something different here, and you're forcing an idea that just maybe doesn't fit the couple, because you feel like you just need to throw an idea out there. And that's kind of that job element where, it's like, well, I'm not finding the true essence of this because I've got another film to deliver a week after this, It's
It's a lot cognitively, just like cognitive load, isn't it? Just
100%.
Sitting on you and weighing you down.
Yeah, because I did, it was 56 I did last year, and that much with that much creativity kind of pouring into every single film, it just became a lot. But it's reducing those numbers to the kind of when you are spending a lot of time. Obviously, the 26 weeks thing is good if you're actually saying from the get-go, you will get your film on your 6-month anniversary. Like, that's actually really good, rather than it being a random date in between that.
Rando 26 weeks. That's like
so
good.
they know they're always getting a countdown to that mark, and that's enough time to get get everything done for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
So yeah, that would actually be if you are going to do a high volume, high creativity edit, that actually would be a way of getting out of it. But at the same time, for your own sake, like that's a lot of cognitive load, creativity, just potentially kind of being forced into it. So
yeah, I guess it certainly helps with your partner obviously doing the ceremony and speeches kind of stuff. So like that kind of takes care of that part, which depending on is the bit that I would say that the majority of us find probably the least inspiring, because it's just kind of, it's chopping up angles.
Yeah.
So at least that part is done, so you can focus, I guess, solely on the kind of creative part.
Yeah. And the way I construct my films, I don't use a huge amount of speech within them, and I tend to use a chronological order. So if I'm going to use nice bits of the speeches or the vows, it's actually at the time of the speeches and the vows in that sort of chronological edit. So it's not a major thing for me to have all of that audio. I'm much more music focused in terms of building the picture. So I, sometimes I can even split the project or proxy the project, and we can be working at the same time, which is great. And yeah, it's super helpful to work in that way, and to focus on the creative kind of side and element. One thing I should say on the whole 26-week thing, one of the reasons I get away with that is that they get those short films, the Instagram style films, they get those pretty much within a week. So they're always getting that quick edit afterwards, which I think for a lot of couples is how they find me and what is one of the reasons why they want to book me. And I think that's what they think they want as well. But what I've realized, working and doing, I'm just going off and answering a different question here. Sorry, but
this was literally going to be my next question. So I'm like, you're answering it for me anyway.
But yeah, so I think with those kind of shorter edits, like Instagram of the world, and people think that's what they want. But the more I've done it, the more I have sort of seen people who have come back and they've lost their mum, they've lost their dad, they've lost people, and they've lost they things that we capture so many important moments, and sometimes for these people it's the only time they'll have those people together in a room or interacting, or it's the only time they're going to get footage dancing with their parents or doing this other thing. And so to kind of mash it all up into 60 seconds doesn't really do that justice. So as I've sort of grown and learned, I now try and deliver much longer edits alongside the really short form ones, and I find that gives then a great balance. So I do like big documentary style edits of everything through the day. Again, I'll try and blend music from the day as well within that. So if I can get a feed off the mixer, if they've got a band and that sort of stuff, using the actual audio and sounds from the day and trying to sync it in. So what I've started doing is doing that. So doing these long edits. I've literally just done 2 this week, and they were 2 hours and 1 hour 46 minutes. So they're really long edits, and then from that, then I'll chop it down into the shorter film from that, and that's kind of more, I think, where I want to go. It's an add-on at the moment, it's an option, so not everyone kind of books it. But what I find is people come back a couple of years down the line, and they're like, have you got a clip of me dancing with my mum, or have you got this and that? And there's no use the footage sitting with me or it getting disposed of or getting rid of. So it's sort of always been part of my editing process to go through everything and to pull everything up anyway. So it's not that much effort to make those little edits and give that value. And sometimes, like I said, I think people think they don't want that, but I think in the future they will. So I think there's a lot of value in what we do beyond just the jazzy Instagram stuff, and that's what I'm trying to push a bit more now.
Yeah. I think that long form edit is something that I've kind of always historically done. It accidentally sort of became an idea because my cousin got married in Florida, and the videographers completely screwed them over. And then at the end of it, they were just like, look, there's all your footage. And so we just all sat around one night, I think it was like 8 months after the wedding, and just watched the raw footage. And we just got such a kick out of that kind of, even though it wasn't their intention at all, the kind of whole movie element of like,
just watching it clip by clip.
Just clip by clip. Like, obviously, if it was edited properly, you could have faded the audio between it so it wasn't jarring, or, got rid of some shaky stuff, which is what I do. But just sitting there watching, a 25-minute film of the morning of all the prep and stuff, just someone being in the room, hearing the conversations, hearing the laughter. Like, I love that stuff. It doesn't necessarily look high quality, but I suppose what you're doing is you're kind of adding audio and stuff into that as well, like actually making kind of film-esque. So it's adding, production value to it. But I think it's a really important thing for people. Like sometimes, people just want like a 10-minute film here and there, but randomly in 14 years' time after wedding, imagine sitting down and going, I feel really nostalgic. I want to go back to that room that day and see what it was like. That's what the value is.
100%. Yeah. And there's still value in those short clips in a feeling and a moment. And, I still find it amazing that I get couples crying at 45 seconds or whatever, it is that I deliver. And I've been lucky enough a couple of times to actually see the couples watch their trailer. Like if I had a couple last year that were multiple day weddings, and so when the first day finished, I literally got almost no sleep, edited it because I was like, I want to see their reaction the next day, and just to give it to them. And I had one that I really remember where the groom was like, he was pretty stone faced, pretty chilled, didn't do anything. That's mean. That's not true. But like I then showed him this just like on my laptop. I was like, hey, I did this for you yesterday. Like, do you guys want to see it? And he just started absolutely bawling his eyes out, and it almost made me go. And it was like a really nice moment to see kind of, even what 45 seconds can do to as an emotion, as a feeling, to capture someone's day, to capture what someone means to them and what that moment in their life means to them. It's really fun. But obviously, down the line, I think to be able to see those extended clips and to see people, my biggest problem with it at the moment is my own voice and singing along to every song. So I'm having to be conscious of not doing that. So when I give them the audio, or sometimes I mic the room and it's fine, but it's not just John Taylor filmed karaoke that's being delivered to them.
I'm literally singing in every clip. Like that's the most I've had to really silence myself in that kind of that raw footage type thing, because it is just me behind the scenes, just like making a silly like bloody request of them, or like literally singing high pitch to something. Oh man, does my head. I think I've actually posted a reel of me going, "Shut up, Jason!" Like, just you're not the main character here.
Or if you've just like you've got a venue with like a lot of stairs or something like that, and then you're just like
the breathing. It's the breathing. If you like, I used to like use the viewfinder all the time, which just made the breathing. Through the entire film, you're like, oh my god, there's no getting away from it.
No.
Oh man, I've had some second shooters chew gum as well, and I'm like, oh mate, stop chewing gum through the film, But yeah, I think that whole, seeing the 45 seconds to a minute teaser and crying, they're seeing it whilst they still have all the adrenaline and all the emotion of their wedding within them, and literally, I think anything that week is going to set them off, but it's when they see, because the way that music hits with epic moments from their life, there's power in that. And, I know when I get goosebumps when I'm watching a teaser that I've made, I'm like, whoa, that hit different, that drop, that music drop. And if you do it properly, it's a great power to be able to have. Still delivering your wedding films by USB?
ew.
We use VidFlow, the sleekest platform for delivering your wedding films. It makes your couples feel like they've got their own private Netflix.
Plus, with their white labeling service, you can customize everything from the branding to the custom domain, so you can make it super personal.
Want to wow your clients? Use the code TWVP10 to get 10% off all pro plans, including white labeling service.
Head on over to vidflow.co today and level up your wedding film delivery experience.
Let's talk about backlog.
Woo!
Editing piles up fast. and is overwhelming.
That's why we use brideandgroom.video, a wedding editing company that delivers stunning wedding films faster without compromising on quality.
If you're looking for an editor that's going to match your unique style so it feels like you've made them, you've found them.
Use code TWVP75 at checkout to get £75 off your first order and try out their service.
Clear your backlog and grow your business. Try brideandgroom.video today.
Hasta la vista, backlog.
In your like short teasers, you go through so many phases. Like it's a lot of people might just choose one song. Like, to be fair, most of the time I do as well. I'll take one song, kind of chop it up into a minute for the very best moments of that. You can take a popular song, strip the vocals, do reverb on that, mix it into another song, take live music, and mix that into it, and you're doing that all within 45 seconds. But it works effectively. Like that's just understanding the keys of music and understanding like. The thing I wanted to go into earlier was the fact that you said you edit kind of like a Hollywood film would, where you put the visuals down first and then you do the audio. Is that what you're doing, or are you building the soundtrack first?
So I pick all the shots first that I want to use. So I'll go through and I'll do like I call it like the trailer cut. So the project's called the trailer cut, and I'll go through and I'll get all the shots that I want to use for the trailer. And it varies. It's not always the same shots. It's like moments that are key and special to them for the day. I'll try and make sure that their key people are in it as well. So like maybe both sides of the family, parents, if they're really close families, or if they got someone they're really close to. So I'll bring up all of those shots, and that might be like 4 minutes of footage, something like that. And then from that, this all in chronological order. I'll kind of watch through it, and then I'll get an idea of kind of the energy, the tempo, and what I want to do. I'll then look at music that's kind of special from them. Was there anything cool that I recorded on the day that I can sort of remember, and then sort of focus on the music bit to sort of match in with the footage that I know I've got. So I'll then create the music track, and then I'll go back in and sort of slot in the clips to where I want. And sometimes I need to extend a bit of the music, or I need to loop something, or I'll fade it out, or I'll think actually this doesn't quite work, and I'll switch it up, or I'll change it, which I do quite a lot. And it's one of the main reasons why I always say to my couples, they're like, can I pick the music? Can I have this song? Can I have this type of vibe? And I say to them, well, I haven't shot your wedding. I haven't experienced your wedding. So I don't know what vibe is going to best reflect your story. Trust me, if you hate it, I'll change it. So like that does not. I think once I had someone, the song I used, they didn't like one of the lyrics of it because it reminded them of something in the past or something. So I just silenced that bit of a particular lyric. But yeah, it's always worked out, luckily. So yeah, I think that kind of creativity and creative flow I love. Sometimes I think I probably do too much, and like in those trailers and I sometimes I watch them back like a couple of months later, and I'm like, oh wow, maybe I put a bit too much in that one, or that was a bit too much to watch. But yeah, fundamentally they're a product for the couple, and a lot of couples book me for those trailers, so I do put a lot into them, and that then sets the foundation for the later kind of edit that I do anyway. It's also great for me to go through the footage within a week. It forces me to do that just to make sure I've got everything's backed up, everything's I've got all the audio and check it all through. So from an organization perspective, it's actually helped me a lot, but it does also allow me to create my own marketing, basically, because all I do is I just chuck those trailers up online, so onto Instagram, and that sort of forms my whole grid pretty much. I think I've made probably 2 like marketing focused reels ever. Everything else has been actually delivered to a client.
Yeah. I feel sort of obligated to ask, because I know that sometimes you can get a bit of a kickback from couples when it comes to music. Obviously on your Instagram, you do utilize a lot of like mainstream kind of music, like maybe taking the vocals and things like that as well. I know Instagram has licenses that allow you to use music up to a certain amount of time, if it's on their list. But if a couple has received a teaser with like a song that's important to them, maybe it was the song they walked down the aisle to, a song that a band performed in the day. Do you find that couples, because in your highlight films, I know that it's mainly Musicbed that you're using, because I recognize most of the songs that you've used on there. Do you find that couples think, oh, well, we've used this song in the teaser, I'd actually like this song to be used in our highlight?
Do you know what? There's some absolute bangers on Musicbed, and I find people are coming to me and they're going, "What is that song? Like, what's the name of that track? What is that?" There's some really great ones on there that I think actually people end up absolutely loving, and so it's kind of a bit of a lifesaver, really, that there's some good quality music on there for me to choose and pick from. But yeah, like the go-tos, people like Kaina and Chapters and stuff like that, I find those songs actually hit so well and people just love them. So yeah, it's never been a big issue from that perspective. There are some weird ways in terms of, again, I'm not an expert on licensing and what you can and what you can't do, but if you deliver an individual copy on a USB, then you can get a PRPS copyright license to actually use that music recorded on the day, and it's about 18 quid, and that covers an individual copy of that on a USB stick. It's pretty old school, it's not set up for online delivery yet, but that legally allows you to do it. It's kind of similar to what they do in churches to allow you to record that sort of audio, but yeah, it's like copyright for music license. And so if you've recorded it on the day, even if it's recorded from a DJ mixer or sound desk, it's still a recording on the day, and then you can use that as one copy. Obviously, I don't know how that works, and it becomes complicated if the couple then transfer that somewhere or download it or put it somewhere else, and I'm very open and honest with that to couples and say, in terms of copywriting and copyright strikes and stuff that can happen, that it's a really gray area. So yeah, it is a grey area. But that's kind of how I've got round it on those circumstances where someone's like, I absolutely have to have that song. It's like, that's fine. We'll do it like this. Yeah.
I think it's always something that people are going to throw up for debate, because there's so much stuff out there on Instagram that you think, well, surely they're using it. Why can't I? But I think the way you do it, you do remix stuff, so it's not like a carbon copy of something. And I think a lot of times, that's just up for, you can manipulate things like that. So yeah, it was just interesting to kind of know if that happened, because I think you use it really well. It's not just like, here's a song by, because I think there was I can't remember I think it might be a Coldplay lyrics or something that you were using, and then it faded into something else, and I'm like, yeah, but it's not a carbon copy. It was using different sounds to kind of make the soundtrack, and I did it with Daft Punk and a Musicbed song once, and I just loved how it came out. But I was like, I wonder if I was allowed to do that, but I just did it anyway.
It's tricky. I'm not too sure is the honest answer on the Instagram side of things, but obviously Instagram allows you to upload these things. I would say most of my songs, it doesn't even recognize the song as being a song, if that makes sense, because I'm using short bits, because I'm just maybe stripping different bits or different sections, because I see it sometimes on other people's where it says like contains music from or may contain music from, but mine pretty much just seem to go through. But again, I have taken in those instances someone's work, so yeah, I'm not sure exactly how that works out.
I think I'll continue my conversation with Music You privately, because I can tell I've got so much I want to talk to you about, but we shall move on, shall we?
One of the ones I guess I wanted to speak to you about, which I thought was like super creative, was, I think it was the reel that I shared with you. So on there, so this was a wedding. It really caught my eye, because is it Taiko or Taiko? drums?
Taiko, yeah.
Taiko, yeah.
Yeah.
So this couple had Taiko drums at the wedding, but you've like incorporated it. It seems like it's like animation in there as well. So you basically like animated the video of like short clips, within, and it was really, really cool. Talk to us through like how you done that, but B, like, where was the kind of the vision for that as well?
Yeah, so I don't really know why I did that, to be honest. The couple liked that, and I saw some stuff on their kind of grid, and Graham kind of in keeping with that vibe. And yeah, I just had an idea. It was last year, and sort of AI was allowing you to do sort of short animations from stills, and to kind of to take a screenshot and to turn it into sort of an animation. So I basically just sort of put those two things together. So took the footage as screenshots, and then converted it, like used a thing to animate it, and then put that into an AI, I can't remember what I use now, into an AI kind of film generator. I think now I think Google has one called, like, I can't remember what it's even called actually. Yeah, you can just sort of plug it into there. I've just said Google, and my phone's trying to speak to me now. Basically, and then it just sort of created that, and then I just did it in the little sections for it, and it sort of worked. It's not perfect, like frame by frame, the people's do, like their faces, the animations change. It's not like seamless, but because I've used it just for very short little bits, it works. And part of the reason why it is those short clips and blends is because other bits didn't work.
Okay.
But yeah, I sent the couple, like when I did that, I did it as two versions with the animation on, and sort of said to them, I've done this. If you don't like it, here's it without, because it was kind of my idea, my thing, and so I was aware that they might be like, oh, sorry, what have you done?
What is
that? So yeah,
I thought it was really cool. I thought it was really cool, just how it, like, I thought it blended in like really, really well. I just, like, it really caught my eye, because it was just something a bit different. It just, I guess for me, it just showed your kind of like your creative thinking, your creativity to just think a little bit differently about it. Okay, like, how can I? This is already like something that's super cool. How can I like add to it? I really enjoyed it.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, those drums as well. They were insane. They were so cool. But those Taiko drums, for looping back in on the music bit, I have like a little MIDI keyboard, and that's, if I'm adding hits and beats, a Taiko drum pack like online is the way to do it. They're so big and they just sound so epic. I look like Kygo or someone, but I must look like Ross from Friends tapping away on my little keyboard, adding in little beats and stuff on those drums. But yeah, they're good ones, those Taiko ones.
No, that was epic. But I mean, there's so many different kind of like bits on your Instagram that just kind of like just shows your kind of creative flair. So yeah, keep it up, because I love it.
Yeah, it's just you. I think especially when you're saying, like, taking the sound for the drum, and obviously if the drums aren't necessarily hitting on the beat because you've used a different cut or you've slowed it down or something, take the audio from that drum and place it in the timeline. Like, audio and visual matching up is so important. It just emphasizes everything so much better. So yeah, that's really 100%. Cool. Obviously, you've got your teasers that you do. You deliver. Is it like what's the deliverables that you do? The highlights. Are they like 3 to 5 minutes? Is that right as well?
Yeah, so there's different kind of options. So there's an option where, the film is kind of 3 to 5 minutes in length, and then the other one is an option that I do that's kind of 6 to 8 minutes, 6 minutes in length, and you get your speeches and stuff. And it's kind of just marketed in a way where that option looks so good compared to the short option that everyone just goes for that one. So I would say, pretty much everyone books me for that. So they get a copy of their speeches, they get the teaser trailer, and they get like a 6 to 8 minute film. And then if they want to add on that, documentary style full edit, then that's something that they can do before or even after the day, if that's something that they want to add on.
So did you say there as well then that do you offer full ceremony as well? Because I noticed you said you specifically said full speeches but didn't mention ceremony.
Yeah, so most of the time, no. There's a couple of reasons for this. One is that I'm often working on my own, and so I want to be, in prep for as late as possible to make sure I get those kind of reveal shots with important ones. So to actually rush in and get ready for the full ceremony kind of multi-angle setup sometimes is a bit of a rush. But mainly I hate tripods. So I think they're so ugly, and I think people spend thousands and thousands of pounds, sometimes tens of thousands of pounds styling for a ceremony. And for me to come and stick tripods like all over the place, I just think so that's what they see when they walk in, I just think is horrendous. So what I will offer is their vows. So their vows and their exchanges. But I don't offer like a minute by minute, you get everyone walking in. So I'll highlight shots of people walking in, and those will be obviously within their film option. But I don't offer the full thing. And when I explain that to people, I mean, as soon as I mention the word tripod, usually that's just enough for people to be like, oh God, yeah, no. So I use monopods, like the world's most expensive sticks. That I got at like ridiculous price, but yeah, I park one of those off to the side to get the groom's reaction, and then I'm just on a gimbal for everyone coming down the aisle, and then I'll move that one in. The other monopod I'll move in to focus on the groom, and then I'll just pick off the bride and capture the vows from kind of either side that way. And then if I'm doing photo as well, then I'll just kind of work out. I'll double monopod and then just go around and do the stills. But if I'm with a photographer, I'll just ask them what they want from their shots, when they want to move to the back, and then I'll just make sure that that I move at the same time, or that I'm not in their shots, or more importantly, they're not in mine, right? They've got Photoshop. So that's kind of it. I've just gone off on a tangent there.
That's actually really interesting, because when you think of like what is it that people are looking forward to looking back at the ceremony, like vows, that's the core of it. Like they know their own story. Granted, for a film sometimes it's quite good, but I don't know how often I actually use parts of the story, because a lot of it seems irrelevant to what you're actually trying to tell about the film. Like that seems to be, their story is important to someone else watching the film trying to get to know them, but how important is that to the couple?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it can come in handy sometimes if maybe like speeches haven't been the best sometimes, I guess. But yeah, very rarely am I using the celebrant audio anyway, because a lot of the time it can be like there's only so many ways to skin a cat, so a lot of the time it can be quite generic. I think maybe like at first I probably used a lot more because it was a lot newer, but then obviously as time goes on, it's I probably don't use as much, and I maybe will just either skip to the vows part to use in the film, or it just becomes very speeches heavy.
Definitely. I think sometimes as well, moments in a ceremony can be awkward, and so I never want someone to feel awkward watching something back. And some moments are just, they're left to kind of chance a little bit. Like if the entrance isn't super smooth, in their mind, how it feels versus how it looks, someone just kind of coming down the aisle, and that's where I think our skill and what we're trying to do is make a moment look how the person felt in that moment, to do it justice. And sometimes actually visually it might not do it justice. Sometimes the groom might not look particularly happy, and then but because he's nervous, but it might look awkward, or it might not come across as a great reaction, to the point where I know if he sits down and they watch it, it's going to be like, oh, you don't look very happy coming down the aisle. And it's like, well, then is it necessary to put it in? Whereas I had a hybrid wedding in Lake Como where the groom's reaction was just insane. Like he was just bawling his eyes out. It's so lovely. The bride actually posted it on TikTok, and I think it's got almost 10 million views or something on TikTok. Right. And like that then is a really kind of special moment, and a nice moment to kind of have that reaction and blend in. But yeah, I think by saying to someone, I'm going to give you your full uncut ceremony, it's just, it opens up, I think, a bit of a risk to not really giving them what they want. And I think if you can highlight that and just give them their promises, what they promised to, the whole point of the day, I mean, it's kind of lost really, isn't it? But like those promises, those commitments that they're making to life, to one another, that they have those to kind of refresh and look back on. So that's sort of what I focus in on in terms of if they want that delivered, that's what I'll deliver.
That's a really good way of looking at it.
Yeah. It would free up as well to get more creative during the ceremony.
That's the other thing as well. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
And I say that to them as well. It's like I have to lock in if you want it all uncut. Whereas I can move around, I can get more reactions. And I really do try and do that as well. So I'll try and get reactions from particularly the front row and the audience. And like, there's little things I've started doing as well. Like I'll leave a camera on the monopod at the front but they've signed the register, let's say, and they're about to exit down. Like there's no point me taking 2 cameras back down with me. So I'll take my gimbal camera down and I'll leave the front camera to the side on a wide to get the claps and cheers from those people who are important to them. So when they're walking back down the aisle again, I can kind of cut that in. And it's just thinking about how I can get different moments. Whereas, if that was locked in and I was giving them everything, then, moving it would make it jarring, and then I've got to fix something else. And it's just, it's exactly what you said. It frees you up. You can actually be more creative, and you can give them a better value, product and edit.
Yeah, because I would say that's something with me. I maybe like don't have the headspace to think a lot on maybe like reactions as much, because I'm focusing on the 3 cameras for the ceremony, So it's an interesting way to look at things. Just shows you there's so many different ways to do it as well.
100%.
So I think in terms of questions, that's all we've got for the most part. We do have one last question though that we'd just like to ask all of our guests that come on the podcast, and that question is: what is your biggest balls up at a wedding?
Okay, I got 2 things that spring to mind. One of them I'm going to say because it's kind of on theme of what we just said. But I think it was the first wedding I ever filmed in a church, and so I didn't really know what I was doing with the audio, and I mic'd up just the vicar priest, and she was without doubt the worst singer I've ever heard in my life. And they really wanted they really wanted everything, like all the hymns, they wanted all that stuff in there. And it was so painful. And then I also had a mic on the groom, and I was like, right, here we go. And he was even worse. So like, it's just I had nothing. So it's like, I actually saved his embarrassment and just put I see where that expression, like a strangled cat or something comes from. I think it was made for this lady. That taught me to always have a source in the room for audio, like a wide source, not just to trust, miking up people, and have a wide source to capture everything as well. So that was quite a good lesson in that. I had another one that was just like an awkward moment, which is funny because it's been pulled back a couple of times by the planner that I worked with on this. But it was a really high-end wedding. Like by that I just mean it's ridiculous spend. I think like the flowers were like 40k or something, and just like insane. And they did a first look, and then they wanted their family shots in the morning, and the parent shots were just like really stiff and just felt really kind of awkward, and they were just sort of stood next to one another. And so I think it's the dad with the groom at the time, and I was like, do you want to give him like a little hug? And he just looked at me and was just like, no. And then there's just this weird silence, and I caught the planner's eye out in my corner, and she's pissing herself laughing just because of the awkwardness of the moment, and I'm trying to not laugh in his face, and I was just like, like the world swallow you up moment. And I'm just like, okay. And then his brother steps in, and that was kind of the same. And I was like, if you were going to see each other, like, how would you greet each other? What would you do? And they just turned and did like the most formal handshake like ever. And I was just like, oh wow, like this just is going so badly. But then the good old the good old magic of alcohol. Later on, they were hugging each other, kissing each other, throwing each other around the dance floor. So, you know, it didn't really matter, to be honest, in the end anyway. I think they were just a bit nervous in front of the camera first thing. But yeah, that was just like, the silence was deafening.
That's funny. On your first one with like the vicar kind of singing, so I remember I delivered a ceremony to the couple, and this is maybe like 6 months later. They get back in touch with me, and I'm like, that's weird seeing their name. I'm like, shit, what's wrong? And then they're like, hey Danny, hope you're good. Just wondered, for the ceremony film, we didn't say anything at the time, but it's just kind of, it's niggling us now whenever we watch it, because we would love to hear the hymns. And I'm like, oh yeah, because I normally try and, like, if I can, have like some kind of like audio source or like a camera placed next to maybe, like, you know, where the organ is or whatever, or, you know, if they've got a choir or something. They're like, but yeah, all we can hear is the priest, whatever his name was, just singing along, and he's not the best singer, so we can't really make it out. And I was like, oh, whoops. And then I went and looked, and it accidentally turned on his audio track for like the whole. So this was actually before I was naming my audio tracks. I was just keeping it audio 1, audio 2, and I was like remembering on, you know, whilst editing. Obviously didn't remember then, and I just kept his whole audio track for whatever. So it's just him singing. He's so bad. I don't think anybody's gonna be good doing that. To be fair.
He just needs to get through autotune, just like Lil Jon it up.
I don't even think autotune would have fixed this. It was so bad. It was so bad.
I love
Mega
that.
John, mate, thank you so much for coming on and chatting to us today. It's been a really good conversation. I've really enjoyed chatting to you, and I know Jace has as well.
Thank you so much.
No, not at all, man, and thank you very much for taking the time out, because I know you're a busy guy with a young family, so much appreciated. For our listeners who maybe haven't heard of you, could you just let them know where they can find you, and you know, Instagram and website and stuff?
Yeah, super creative business name, @JohnTaylorFilms. So that's where you'll find me on Instagram. My website needs a massive update, but that's just johntaylorfilms.com. Most of my stuff's through Instagram. If you've got a question or you want to ask me stuff, DMs on Instagram is probably the way to go. People are always reaching out, asking me, usually, you know, kind of the audio style questions and you know, what I'm doing or how I'm doing certain things. I'm always happy to kind of help out. So yeah, pop me a message on Instagram is probably the best way.
Amazing. Well, I know you'll have Jason in your inbox at some point, so
yeah, I'll just be comparing some soundtracks. It's definitely inspiring me to kind of just get a bit more creative with it again. So yeah, looking forward to that.
100%. Yeah, that'd be good. Thank you guys, and it wasn't too painful as well, the first podcast experience. So thank you for being gentle with me.
No, not at all. And yeah, I think our listeners will definitely get a lot out of this one. So thank you, mate. Yeah, well, mate, John, thanks so much again for coming on, and yeah, looking forward to this one going live. But for now, that has been That Wedding Videographer podcast. I've been Danny.
I've been Jace.
I've been John.
See you next week.